the Freebies row in the Supreme Court. The CJI is reading out the key judgment. This could have a lot of implications. Remember, the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP have been clashing on the same, with the Prime Minister saying this is a revdi culture. The issue finally reached the Supreme Court. Any moment now, the judgment is going to be pronounced. So this is going to have a lot of implications. Remember, in the Supreme Court, the parties had also said that social welfare and the welfare schemes that are announced by the government should not be confused with freebies that are given by the government. So taken in view the 2013 judgment in a similar case as well. Remember, today any announcement that comes in from the Supreme Court is going to be extremely crucial. All right, breaking news coming in. The matter has now been referred to a 3-judge bench. The CJI is said to have said question relates to the promise of freebies in manifesto. Petitioner saying it is being made without assessment of financial stability and affects level playing field, undue effect on voters, and shakes the root of free and fair polls. So the matter has now been referred to a 3-judge bench, saying the issue requires extensive hearing. We can't immediately give our judgment. This is a big issue. And the Supreme Court now referring the matter to a 3-judge bench, which means the hearing in the matter is going to continue. The CJI has said that this requires extensive discussions. In fact, the Chief Justice said freebies may create a situation where a state is pushed towards imminent bankruptcy, and such freebies are used to increase popularity of the party and deprives the state to give genuine measures. In an electoral democracy, electorate has the true power. The Chief Justice also saying the interveners have said that all the promises cannot be equated to the freebies, and it is as per the directive of the principles of the state policy. So the matter being referred to a 3-judge bench now, which means the discussions around it will continue. The Chief Justice also mentioning that there is a complexity in the case. This is a complex issue. Madhav Das is joining us live with more details on this. Madhav, this controversy is likely to go on. The Supreme Court now saying it will be referred to a 3-judge bench because of the complexity of the entire issue.
Well, absolutely. In fact, looking at the complexity of the issues, in fact, I'm quoting from the CJI what he said today, and the prayer to overrule Subramaniam Balaji, we refer the matters to a 3-judge bench. So very, very important observations coming in before that order was finally passed today. In fact, also saying that, referring to the fact that it's a very, very complex issue. In fact, the CJI also said that the petitioner has said such promises have a large impact on the economy of the state, and it is made without assessing financial implications to attract vote banks. The question relates to the promise of freebies in manifestos, and the petitioner says it's being made without assessment of financial stability, affects the level playing field, undue effect on voters, shakes the root of free and fair polls. Also going on to say that freebies may create a situation where the state is pushed towards imminent bankruptcy, and such freebies are used to increase the popularity of the party and deprive the state to give genuine measures. In an electoral democracy, the electorate has the true power. Further going on to say that interveners have said all promises cannot be equated to freebies, as it is per the directive principles of state policy. The CJI has further added that the issues raised by parties require extensive hearing, and certain preliminary hearings need to be determined, such as what is the scope of judicial intervention, whether the appointment of expert body by court serves any purpose, and also saying that many parties have submitted that the judgment in Subramaniam Balaji requires reconsideration. The court in a said case held that such practices would not amount to corrupt practices. Also saying that many parties are saying that this requires a reconsideration, and looking at the complexity of issues, the prayer to overrule Subramaniam Balaji, they've referred the matter to a 3-judge bench. So while the Prime Minister had raised the issue of revdies being distributed or freebies being distributed, various political parties have actually contended, whether it is the Aam Aadmi Party, whether the YSRCP, whether it is the DMK, have all implemented themselves in this matter, saying that in a country like India, where there is a huge section of population that is deprived, giving them basic requirements such as health, education, water, power, etc., all of these cannot be termed as freebies, as they are very, very important in a country for any human being to actually go ahead and survive. And also, of course, those deprived sections that need particular help, giving them that targeted help cannot be called as freebies, is the contention. But at the same time, of course, it is important to consider the fact that some of these promises have in the past drained the exchequer of various state governments, and of course have risked, in fact, all of them going bankrupt. We've seen the case of Sri Lanka, for instance, that is time and again cited for or in fact the profligacy by the ruling regime over there, which led to the economic ruin, which the country is in complete tailspin of over the past several months and weeks. So clearly, all of these are aspects that the court is looking at, and is given that the complexity of the nature of this entire aspect, the court has decided to refer the matter to a larger bench. So a larger bench will now be looking into the entire matter of freebies, and perhaps will be looking at the entire matter afresh. We will have to see, of course, how the court takes up this matter from here on. But one very important verdict coming in from the Chief Justice of India on his last day on the bench as a Chief Justice. Several other matters also listed through the course of the day today. We have to watch out for what those judgments are as well.
Right. In fact, on Tuesday as well, Madhav, the Chief Justice had said that it seemed like all parties were on one side and everybody wants freebies. But the complexity of the issue really is the fact that, the Chief Justice was expected to pronounce on irrational freebies, saying that there's a thin line between freebies and social welfare schemes that are announced by the government.
Not just social welfare schemes, but also, of course, the fact that in a country like ours, where there are huge sections of population that are deprived, and of course they look up to the political class and they elect them on the promise that they would improve their lot, what really can constitute a freebie? Because the definition of a freebie in such a situation can change from situation to situation, from state to state and person to person. So what really will be the definition used as a freebie in one particular state and not in another? Those are going to be some very, very important aspects that perhaps we don't know at the moment yet, but perhaps the Supreme Court will be examining, because it is a very, very complex issue. Remember that, you may say that certain gadgets, for instance, being given or being promised by political parties are freebies, but there could also be a counter argument that those gadgets would also make the life of the persons who get those particular gadgets easier in a number of ways. Television sets, for instance, have been promised in the past, mixies have been promised, but the counter argument could be that those would be very important for those persons or those individuals in their day-to-day life. So it's a very, very complex aspect, while certainly the aspect of food, of ration, of power, and all of these aspects are certainly there. Subsidizing them at all, can we completely do away with subsidies, for instance, particularly for the poorer sections of society? Those are some very important questions that the court will have to consider, and clearly the Supreme Court was not convinced at this point of time, at least, that it could immediately pass judgment on it, and that's why it has given it or referred it to the matter to a larger three-judge bench that can consider all the aspects of this particular case, particularly of importance given the fact that it is so heated in terms of our political discourse and the manner in which this entire issue has been debated in recent days.